Hello. Okay. Greetings. Yeah, can't talk today. Can we do this intro? I have no idea. Greetings and salutations, book lovers. My name is Samantha, and today we're going to have a very chill video. I'm going to be organizing my bookshelves behind me that are very, very messy, and we're going to be chatting about romance and reading romance. If that sounds cool to you, hang out with me. Okay, this is the most awkward intro I've ever done. I've literally done this intro like 5 times, so we're just gonna roll with it. I love chatting about books and reading. It's like one of my favorite things. I did a couple videos. What did I call them? Book chats, book talks, I think I called them. I will link them down below. I talked about reading audiobooks. I talked about annotating your books and like marking your books. So if those topics interest you, the link will be down below. Shameless plug. Today, we're going to be talking about reading romance and why reading romance is valid. It's a valid genre. It's valid reading. Just as important as reading classics, sci-fi, fantasy. It's all important, okay? You can gain something from each genre. And that's what we're going to be talking about as I organize my books. I have a ton of historical romance behind me. I've been hauling a lot of books, as you guys know, because all my videos now are book hauls. It's gotten out of hand. I need to organize. I thought it would be a good idea to organize my books by color because I think it's so pretty, like on Instagram when people have rainbow bookshelves, but it's a nightmare. Rainbow bookshelves look aesthetically pleasing, but I can never find anything on my bookshelves now because I'm not used to searching by like the color of the book. I normally search by the author, and it just helps to have like all the series and all the authors together. So yes, I'm going to reorganize this shelf so it's alphabetical, and it's probably going to take me a long time, which is why I decided to chat with you guys while I do this. The shelf above me, actually, I don't know if you guys can see, I don't know if the angle is a little weird, but the shelf above me is my Lisa Kleypas shelf, and she's not getting touched. She gets her own shelf. She's very special. Everything else down here is the rest of my historical romance. Lisa Kleypas might have to share her shelf with some other authors because we're running out of room, but we will see. I'm gonna have to like turn a little bit, obviously, because I'm organizing the shelf. Goodbye, rainbow books. You were pretty, but you didn't work. These books fall on me. That would be hilarious. What started this whole video and like the idea of this video and to talk about why reading romance is a valid genre is because I feel like romance gets trashed a lot. I feel like a lot of people have a very bad connotation when they think of reading romance. They immediately think of like 50 Shades of Grey, which that is fine if you like reading those types of books. Do you? If you enjoyed those books, who cares? Like, why does anyone judge what you're reading? But I feel like a lot of people just put romance in a box and don't think it is as valid as reading fantasy, sci-fi, classics, etc., etc. When I first started watching BookTube, I've only had this channel for a couple months, and I've only been watching BookTube for maybe 2 years. I didn't know BookTube was a thing. I was like living in an entirely different sad world, and I didn't know BookTube was a thing, and I only discovered it 2 years ago. And when I discovered it 2 years ago, this is not to say that there aren't romance channels out there, because they absolutely are, and there's so many, and they're so amazing. But I feel like when I first discovered BookTube, everybody was reading fantasy. Every video that I saw, every BookTube channel that I saw promoted was always fantasy readers and then like the occasional like classics. Never did I really see romance until I started watching Jessica's channel from Peace Love Books. And like when I started watching her channel, it was like, oh, like this whole door opened up for me of these romance channels like Chandler, Lacey, so many amazing channels who I will link some of my favorites down below. I've been reading romance for a very long time. Romance has always been my favorite genre. It just makes my soul happy, and I felt like I had to read fantasy and thrillers and classics to be like a real reader, which sounds really silly, but that's just how I felt. Anyways, I saw this Instagram post that someone had posted, and it was like a screenshot of a Goodreads review. I don't remember what the book they were reviewing was. I would have saved the screenshot of this Instagram story because when I saw it, it just like sparked this entire video. I have the hiccups, I'm so sorry. This review on Goodreads was very lengthy, and the beginning of it was basically the person who was reviewing the book was giving kind of like an overview of her achievements. She was a novelist herself. I don't remember exactly what book she wrote, but I know it was nonfiction. She reads classics mainly, and she was like giving this whole spiel about like what she reads and how she's an author, da 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 da. And I read classics and this and this and this, and I never would have expected that a romance book would be this good. And I was like, that's kind of interesting for a review. I don't know how to explain it. I wish I would have saved this review because something about it was just like, what? What? So many people will read a romance book, even on BookTube or in real life. BookTube is real life, but you guys know what I mean. They will say, oh, that book was good for a romance. Or, yeah, that book's okay, but it's a romance. Or they'll say, you know, I don't normally read romance. I normally read fantasy and classics, but this book was okay. I was surprised because it's a romance. And it's like, why does it have to be good for a romance? Why can't it just be a good book? Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like a lot of people think because they gave a book that looks like this 5 stars, they have to explain why they're giving a book like this 5 stars. Because a book that has like a sexy cover and is a mass market paperback can't possibly be a good book, right? It can't possibly have a lesson in there. You can't possibly gain anything from reading that book. That's kind of what those comments seem like, and I see those comments all of the time. I'm getting way too intense, and I'm not even organizing these books. I literally am not organizing at all. Before I start organizing, I wanted to read an article, a little blurb from an article I saw. This article was from Elite Daily, and I will link it down below for you guys to read the full article. And I think it was like 7 reasons you should read romance or something like that. So I'm going to read this real quick because it resonated in my soul. So the paragraph said, in the same way sci-fi piques an interest in time travel and a good mystery brings out your inner detective, romance novels are a celebration of love. Celebration of love. Of course. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Celebration of love that sparks hope in readers, and they also teach some valuable lessons along the way. So in this article, there was another little paragraph that I just had to read because it was so wonderful. And it said, there is a beautiful magic to the way happiness, loyalty, and love are represented in the novels that no other genre depicts quite the same way. There is just something so satisfying and empowering about a happy ending. It just is. To see yourself represented in a romance novel. And romance is huge. It's a huge genre. Like I said, a lot of people want to put it into one box. They just want to say, oh, all romance is like 50 Shades of Grey. Or all romance is like Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren's a really popular author, so I kind of just threw her in there. I love her books. But there are so many different types of romance. There's historical romance. There's Western romance. There's sci-fi romance. If you like fantasy, there's fantasy and sci-fi romances. There's just so much in that one genre. And then you have all the tropes, friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, office work romances, just everything. You can find male romances. You can find female romances. I think that it's very, like I said, satisfying to see yourself represented in a book and have that happy ending. It just gives you the warm feeling and butterflies at the pit of your stomach, and I love it. Something that I always say, and my coworkers make fun of me, is I love love. I love love. I love romance movies. I love romance books. My favorite holiday is Valentine's Day. There is just something so sweet and hopeful about love. It sounds silly to some, but if I'm stressed or having a bad day, like today, I was feeling so crummy. And the best thing for me to do was read a romance book. That is a form of self-help for me. It makes me feel better to come here, sit down, talk about romance books, read reviews on romance books. It makes me happy. And these books are gonna fall. There shouldn't be anything wrong with that. And you shouldn't be judged for the books that you're reading. The reason I say that is because even like people that I know, without even realizing it, when they look at my Instagram, they'll be like, how can you read a book like this? You know? Why are you reading a book with like these sexy people on the cover? And it's like, what is bad about liking step backs? What's so bad about liking, you know, sexy people on the cover? Nothing. Nothing is bad about that. When they see a cover like this, which by the way, this is a gorgeous step back. When they see a cover like this, they're like, oh my goodness, that can't possibly be a good book, right? Wrong. Ugh, I'm already regretting organizing these books. It's gonna take me so long. It's gonna take me so long. Still organizing. There is something very therapeutic about reading a romance. Having a good cry, curling up in your bed, and just reading. It takes you to another place. You know, it's almost like an escapism read. When I'm reading historical romance and reading about dukes and earls and rakes and all of these like proper society situations, it completely takes me to a different world. I don't even think about the stresses of my life. I'm so focused on the story and it calms me. And for that alone, reading romance is everything to me. I'm someone who really does love reading reviews on Goodreads, on Instagram, on Amazon. I love reading reviews. It does really help me pick which book I'm reading next. And it just saddens me when a lot of people immediately write off a book because it's romance, or they just don't give it a chance. It's like the definition of judging a book by its cover. Give romance a chance. It might surprise you. Like with historical romance, so many historical romances, like the core of it is like female empowerment. Like seriously, it is so amazing to see like these characters have this confidence in who they are and their sexuality, in their relationship. Just reading that gives you confidence as well. It's not just like historical romance. You can find that in whichever genre you're reading. So reading romance also gives me a lot of confidence. Reading romance gives me so much confidence, and it helps me, one, learn from like their mistakes. Like when I'm having like an absolutely infuriating character and they're not communicating, I'm like, just communicate. And then it helps me communicate better in my life, and it's great. It's great. What?
Are you recording something?
Yeah, I am recording something.
Right now?
Yes, why? Okay, so a book I feel like kind of talks about what I'm saying, and I know this book is really, really popular. This is The Bromance Book Club by Lisa K. Adams. This book is super, super popular. Just like a brief synopsis, it follows Gavin, who is a professional baseball player, and sorry, I think the camera angle was a little weird. He's a professional baseball player, and him and his wife are having marriage issues. She wants a divorce. He does not. She has been faking a lot of things in their marriage and not really been happy, but he's never realized it. Now he's come to a point where he has to prove his love to her and basically make his wife fall in love with him all over again. It is a very well written second chance romance that I highly, highly recommend. I love it. There is a second book to this series that I haven't read, but the whole premise is that Gavin ends up joining a book club, and it's a bunch of guys that read romances to woo their woman, and I love the premise of that, and it like fits exactly with what I'm saying. So I have a couple quotes from this book I want to read because it kind of goes with what I'm saying. So in this book, they're reading a Regency romance, and the main character says, oh, great, because that sounds relevant. Like, how is something from the 18th century or early 19th century based in England relevant to real life? And one of the characters says, it is actually. Modern romance novelists use the patriarchal, can't pronounce that word, patriarchal society of old British aristocracy to explore the gender-based limitations placed on women today in both the professional and personal spheres. That shit is feminist as fuck. I mean, yes, I absolutely just totally agree with that. Another reason why historical romance is so valid, and it just shows that romance can be relevant to real life. One of my absolute favorite books is Sugar Daddy by Lisa Kleypas. It is one of her contemporary romances. She writes a lot of historical romances, but this was more of like, is it contemporary or considered new adult? I don't really know what genre it would fit in technically. Do you guys like chiclets? I know a lot of people don't like that word, like women's fiction, chiclets. what do you guys call them? I don't know. Like, basically, like, contemporary new adult romances. I know a lot of people don't like when people say, like, chick lit or women's fiction. So what do you guys call them? Totally off topic, but just curious. One of my favorite books is Sugar Daddy by Lisa Kleypas. I have just raved and raved and raved about it so much. And the reason is because in that book, that was, like, the first time that I found a character that I just related to so much. The main character in that book, just everything about her, the way she talks about her relationships, the way she talks about herself, her confidence, it just, everything I felt to, like, the depths of my soul. I love that book, and something about it, like, the entire time I was, like, crying because it was an emotional roller coaster, and it just made me feel so happy. And that's one of the books, like, whenever I'm feeling down, I will pick it up and just read paragraphs from it or reread the book because it just makes me so happy. Side note, I posted this book today on my Instagram because it's so gorgeous. This is Midnight Fire by Madeline Baker. Is that not the prettiest cover you've ever seen? And you guys have to get a look at this step back. Oh, so pretty. Moving on. Something else I really need to start reading is Harlequin, like, Regency romances. Like, these smaller books. They're only like 200 pages. I could probably get through them really quickly. So I need to read more of these guys. I think I'm going to put Kerrigan Byrne up there with Lisa Kleypas. Lisa Kleypas is probably, like, one of my favorite authors ever, especially for historical romance. But so is Kerrigan Byrne. So I think I'm going to give, like, my two favorite authors their own shelf. So we'll put Kerrigan Byrne up here. I'm reading a Kerrigan Byrne book right now. Oh my gosh, I forgot. Something Stormy Night. Dark and Stormy Night. Something Night. I'll pop it on the screen. That's the book I'm reading right now. If you guys are looking for an amazing historical romance author, Kerrigan Byrne. She's fantastic. Just like a trigger warning though, a lot of her books have a discussion of sexual assaults. Like The Highwayman and How to Live a Duke in 10 Days. They have a discussion of sexual assault, and I think it's handled really good. Another reason, like, reading romance can really make you think about things, and it can discuss a very sensitive topic in a more lighthearted, I don't want to say lighthearted because there's nothing lighthearted about sexual assault, but you guys know it's a little bit more digestible. Okay, so I am surrounded by books. I didn't get much organizing done, and my phone is gonna die. So I know this was a rambly video. Hopefully you guys kind of got the gist of what I was saying. If you guys haven't read romance before, I would highly, highly recommend you doing so. If you don't read romance and you're watching this video, I mean, I love you. That's amazing. Thank you for watching this video. I highly, highly recommend you guys giving romance a chance. Even if you read romance and you only read, like, maybe contemporary or women's fiction and you've never dived into the world of historical romance, give it a try. You might be surprised. There's so many genres, and I feel like there's something for everyone. So, that is my spiel. Romance is valid reading. Have I said that enough? Probably not. I'll say it again. Romance is valid reading. Okay. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I'm going to link some of my favorite romance authors down below. Some examples. I love Lisa Kleypas and Kerrigan Byrne for historical romance. If you're looking for a good start for just romance in general, I really love Christina Lauren. She has some women's fiction. She has, like, some rom-coms. She has, like, more smutty books in her, like, office work romances. If that's what you're interested, I'll pop some on the screen so you guys know which ones I'm talking about. I totally forgot the names of those books. What else? Who else? If you guys are looking for, like, something more paranormal or supernatural, I really, really love the Green Creek series by TJ Klune. That is, like, one of my new favorite romance books ever. It features a male romance. 3 books, or no, not 3 books, 4 books. The 4th book is coming out soon, and it has the most angsty male werewolf romance you will ever read. Highly recommend. So good. So yeah, if you guys are just, like, getting started into romance, those are some of the ones I would recommend. I will leave some of my favorite romance channels linked down below. I'm talking a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you're all happy and healthy, and I'll talk to you guys next time.